What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Miguel. You're watching Miguel EDC, the channel where we talk everything EDC gear here. And today we have another package here sent to me by Knife Standards. This one's coming into me via the Lefty EDC knife pass around. So shout out to Lefty, Kevin Johnson. If you're not already subscribed to his channel, this will be a great time to do so. He also makes awesome EDC and knife content as well. This one we won't need to cut into. But what's in my pocket today, we have the Tuya Wrath. I recently unboxed this knife in the channel. This thing is just beautiful, gorgeous, frag pattern titanium with the front flipper, thumb deployment, reverse flick options. We have S90V on the blade, dual ground. Oof, just an overall sexy knife. Definitely got to check out that unboxing if you haven't already, but that is what's in the pocket. We don't need to make any cuts on this one because it would open pretty easily. Also keep in mind that there will be links in the description for this knife and any other knife that you see in this video. So if you want to check them out and learn more, they'll be linked down there. And whoa, all right, we have, how many knives do we have here? I don't know. We're about to find out. So this one's coming in a little package here. Oh yes. We have a knife here from TACCOM. We recently checked out the TACCOM Chimera, and after mispronouncing it for like 20 bajillion times, I finally learned how it's pronounced. So we're checking out another TACCOM knife. Excited for that. We have one from Bestech. That's going to be interesting. All right, got Lefty EDC again. Check out his channel if you haven't already. Check out Knife Standards channel also if you haven't already. Make sure you subscribe to both. Probably for SEO purposes, I'll break it into two different videos. So you guys know about 30% of my views come from search. So having specific videos for specific knives really helps a small channel like mine, you know, get out there, get discovered, if you will. All right, so let's check out this next knife here. This is the Bestech small box, so that sort of gives it away a little bit if you already know what this is. We're talking about the Ququ. I'm not sure it's called the Ququ, but I believe that is short for cricket, and you'll see why that is in just a moment. This one is in 14C 28N black, and it's a Bestech knife. This one has a really interesting story behind it. We'll get into it in a second. Here's the model name as well. And in case you're wondering, I am sucking on a Ricola because my throat is just killing me. I've just been getting over this cold here for quite some time, and you know, just been recording some unboxing videos back to back. So that being said, let's go ahead and open this thing, shall we? Here we go. All right, Miguel, can you get that thing open? Boom, check this thing out. Wow. First impressions, well, first of all, let's see, we have Simply the Best. I'm gonna open this up so you guys can pause it if you want. You can learn about the maintenance and you know, before storing it and such. Right there, boom, and that is everything on the tiny little box. You have a nice little plastic pouch here, and if you guys are ready, I'm ready. Whoops, there you go. It just kind of slid out there. Check this thing out. Aluminum handles going on here. My first impressions is it's actually a little bit smaller than I thought. For whatever reason, I thought it would be just a tad bit bigger, but honestly, it makes sense that it's this small, which is pretty good. Sort of gives you like, you know, key fob vibes, like, you know, unlocking, locking your car, remote starting your car, you know, your car key fob sort of vibes. So it's called the Cricket or the Ququ, whatever the actual pronunciation is. I promise you guys I'll get better at that before the review video on this guy. First impressions, again, it's a little bit smaller than I had anticipated or that I thought it was. And also, you know, it does have resembles the cricket, the insect sort of aesthetics to it, right? You think of this kind of being the head or the eyes, if you will. Here's the body or the wings. The milling on this thing is just really, really nice. I'm not sure if you guys know this or not, but I am a sucker for symmetrical designs. And a knife like this with these symmetric lines really hits home for me. I love that. Also, the mill pattern right here feels really good. This thing is super, super lightweight. Well, first of all, it's small, and second of all, it's aluminum. So without further ado, let's get this thing open. There's one deployment and one deployment option only in this guy. I love the red, by the way. That red looks very, very nice. right? Looks really, really good. So it is a button lock, and you can probably consider this to be a gravity knife, honestly, because it can be deployed with that button and sort of gravity does the rest. But here we go, without further ado, boom, there it is. Small but mighty blade. Let's give it a nice little wipe right here. This is what they meant by black. So the blade is coated in black. I'm not sure if this is DLC or not. It might be PVD or just a black wash going on. I'll confirm for sure for the review video. We do have a sharp edge on one side. Ooh, that feels nice and sharp. It's not sharp on the other side, which, you know, sort of makes sense, you know, for EDC purposes, right? This thing feels, you know, like it would do very, very well. And it's nice that it's sharp on one side only, so that way you don't have to worry about two edges. You know, sort of an interesting decision there. You know, some people would have liked it to be sharp on both sides, sort of like in the same fashion that my Reate EXO-M is a dagger, and it has an edge on both sides. So yeah, they just made that decision to do it on one side and one side only. We have a flat grind going on, which obviously with a dagger, what you have to keep in mind is that it has to get thick pretty quick when it reaches the middle, and then it kind of drops on the other side. You have an interesting, nice fuller going on both ends, and 14C 28N steel here, which honestly is pretty good these days, you know, compared to your D2, right, to your Nitro V. 14C does a really, really good job. So let's check the action here, shall we? So I'm not sure if this thing is, I believe in ball bearings. Okay, you can see the ball bearings right there. I'm not sure if they're steel bearings or ceramic bearings, probably steel for the price. I'm not entirely sure on the price of this knife. Again, it will be linked down below, so you guys can learn more about it. I can't see it being very, very expensive. It is aluminum with 14C 28N. I can't see it being super, super expensive. It's not like titanium and M390 or anything like that, so perhaps very affordable. Now, what's interesting about this knife, again, check it out. Again, aside from the fact that it's one deployment option, small form factor. So from my understanding, this knife was designed by I believe the CEO or the owner of Bestech. His daughter, I believe she's 8 years old, if the story is right. And, you know, an 8-year-old designed this knife, and they went ahead and turned it into an actual production knife that is for sale today, and you can buy it. So how cool is that, right? Being 8 years old, designing a knife. Obviously, you know, you have to have a parent or someone in the industry to be able to make that happen a little bit easier. So if your dad is the CEO or the owner of the company, that makes things so much easier. But again, 8 years old, 8 years old. And she designed this knife. Apparently, I believe crickets are her favorite insects or animals. And yeah, it's just a very interesting story. If you want to learn more, check out the Bestech website for the, you know, the scoop, if you will. But honestly, all right, you can see the action getting a little bit addicting right there. And once you get the hang of it, right, you can really put some work on there. Even though, you know, it's not sharp on this side, like that actually helps, because if you needed to put your thumb, rest your thumb on the blade, that actually is beneficial. So I didn't think about that originally, but check that out, right? Also, feel like the button is in a way where you could probably press it, but you really have to go out of your way to bend your index finger in such a way that you will press it. Because by default, right, notice where my finger is, and there's nowhere in the world that I would have, there's no way that I would have enough leverage to even press the button at this point. So I will have to be intentional about it, which at that point, why would you unlock a knife on yourself? That makes no sense, right? So yeah, resting the thumb here is appreciated. So maybe that was the right decision to make it only sharp on one side and not both. So that's good. It is a small knife, so I have medium hands. Being able to put your thumb there certainly helps, because otherwise it will be kind of difficult. This is a hammer grip right here, and my pinky is barely hanging on to it. No linear hole that I can see going on here. So if you have extra large hands, this might not be the knife for you. But if you have average hands, you know, here I am. You know, I'm able to get half the pinky on the very back end of the knife, so that's not bad at all. Ergonomically feels pretty good, you know, as any small knife This size wood, the pocket clip, you barely notice it's there. It's not extra long. It's about 40% of the entire handle, if anything. And, you know, is it reversible? I don't think so. Right? The way that it is milled into the handles, I don't believe it is reversible, but it is decently deep pocket carry. Check that out. So you'll have about barely this much sticking out of the pocket, if anything. So that's nice. And probably has to break in a little bit for you to get a better drop shot action. Or if you give it a nice little whip, it will shut close. This is the kind of knife that my wife is certainly going to like. I showed her some pictures. I told her this knife was on its way here. And she's not a knife person, but you know, she likes small knives. And so, yeah, let's do a quick size comparison here. Right off the bat, I want to put it next to the Divo NIP because we know that's a small, yet very usable knife. You have about the same amount of cutting edge, and honestly, the Divo might be a tad bit bigger, if not exactly the same size. You guys be the judge there. All right, for reference, here's that EXO-M that we were talking about a second ago, and also with a dagger blade. That one is, of course, going to be a bigger knife, absolutely. Right, typical PM2, Para 3. Not really much to be said there, right? We know it's going to be a small knife. I'm just kind of putting all these other models next to it so you guys can get a feel. If you own one of those models, then obviously that gives you a pretty good idea. Here's a Demko AD 20.5, the Shark Cub, right? And obviously the Ququ or Ququ is going to be a little bit smaller, indeed. Quite a bit smaller, if I'm being honest. Rot Model 1, well, you can probably do about twice the size, and Rot Model 2. And lastly here is the CJRB Pyrite Alt, very recommendable daily user, EDC. And also the Raccoon, which is just as popular and recommendable as well. And yes, the Bestech right there, the Ququ, is going to be, I'm still going to stick with Ququ. I don't know why. I don't know, but we'll stick with that. And it's going to be, you know, obviously, spoiler alert, very small. Much smaller, right, to say the least. All right, so let's check out the sharpness on this thing because, oof, that blade feels really, really good. And this thing is pretty carryable. Like the weight on this thing, as a matter of fact, let's just check the weight on this thing really quick. So a very light knife that I've recently been checking out is that Divo NIP, but on the Jack Sparrow scales. And this one is pretty lightweight as well. For reference, that one comes in at 2.1 ounces. And the Bestech Ququ is 1.8. 1.8. So you want a lightweight knife? Say less. Here we go. This is the lightweight knife for you. Under 2 ounces. So let's check out cutting some paper. Let's get a couple of initial cuts here, shall we? Want the edge to really bite. And remember, it's a flat grind that gets pretty thick right away because the middle of it is pretty thick. I want to say, as a matter of fact, what the heck, right? Let's just do blade stock thickness is 0.11. So still pretty thin, but the fact that it gets pretty, you know, it gets up there pretty quick, then that pretty much tells you, right? It's not going to be, you know, a full flat grind all the way through and through, but check out the swirls, right? So once it bites, it's good to go, right? It's going to get some slices done. So here we go, moment of truth. There we go. So obviously we also don't have the longest cutting geometry. All right, check that out right there. You guys rate it in the comments. It probably needs a little bit of strapping right now too. It's also been, you know, it's been checked out by other YouTubers as well. Check out that swirl right there. Right in the blade. So it will cut, but it won't be the sliciest. And that was sort of expected, right? Based on the blade geometry. It definitely can get some slices in. It just it has to have a good initial bite. That's what it will take. All right, so yeah, it can do paper, right? Although not the sliciest, you can still cut just fine for package opening. I can see this thing being really, really good. The good thing about this knife being a small form factor, even though it's not a Warncliffe or sheep's foot or anything like that, you can get access to the tip pretty easily, right? And then you can do some package opening, right? Opening some letters and stuff like that. This thing is going to do really, really good at those tasks. Obviously, this is not going to be the most survivable hardcore knife out there or anything like that, but for EDC tasks, cutting through some paper, tape, cardboard, it's going to do pretty good. Here's some cardboard, single wall, diaper box. Remember, when cutting cardboard, don't cut perpendicular, but rather at an angle. Let's see how this guy does. I'm going to put my thumb here on this side. And yeah, see, it's doing the cardboard just fine. Obviously, this might not be the knife you would want to use to do your cardboard at home, but it can certainly do it, right? It can certainly do it. And you guys go ahead and rate it in the comments on a scale from 1 through 10, right? How sharp is this guy? Keep in mind, it has seen some use, but there you go, right? There you have it. Well, there you have it, guys. That is the Bestech Ququ, Ququ. I noticed that, you know, once you get a couple of hardcore cuts on it, you'll see that it starts showing on the blade a little bit. So I did want to point that out to you guys. That was not the paper, that was the cardboard that did that right there. Notice on this other side, still nice and, you know, evenly same amount of black all throughout, but here you see those streaks from the cardboard. And I'll probably, you know, try to see if I can get that off with a CLP, break-free CLP. But if not, then that gives you an idea kind of sort of how the wear and tear is going to show over time, right, as you use this knife more and more. So again, meant to be a light carry, right, knife. All right, once you get the blade out, if you're not able to get it fully open, you could put your thumb in the fuller and just finish opening it all the way for the rest there. Other than that, you know, you're using very much a flick of the wrist to open and close it, since that is the only deployment option. So it reminds me a lot of my Civivi Elementum, the original button lock Elementum, when it first came out, right? This one, the only deployment option was the button. So in a way, gravity was the only way to open and close the knife. And same deal here, you have to give it a flick of the wrist in order for it to open and close. And so that's what comes to mind here with this other design being a button deployment only. But you guys know the drill by now. I'm going to carry this guy for about, you know, quite some time here, gather as much feedback as I possibly can before coming back to you with a comprehensive review. Just want to show you here, there's some milling going on the inside that helps a ton with the weight right there. And, you know, carrying this guy, I'm probably going to EDC it as a secondary. I want to say this one makes a perfect fifth pocket knife, you know, as well. So that's probably where I'm going to be carrying this guy the most. Excited to carry this knife, as a matter of fact. Ooh, you can also open it like that. How about that? If you want to get creative with it. Ooh, didn't even see that coming, did you? But guys, if you made it to the end, you guys are the real MVPs. I really love and appreciate all your support. Thank you so much for checking this one out. Go ahead and smash that like button if you haven't already. It really helps the channel a ton. And if you aren't yet subscribed, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. I promise you'll be worth coming back for more. I make knife and EDC gear content like this on an ongoing basis. If you want to support the channel a step further, there's a link for Patreon down below, or you can simply support the channel right here on YouTube by becoming a member. You guys will have access to exclusive perks. Go ahead and check out the unboxing video on the Tuya Wrath. This wonderful premium knife right here. Feels like $1,000,000 to say the least. Got to check it out if you haven't already done so. I'll put a card for this video right here if you guys want to see it next. Thank you guys once again for your love and support. I really love you all, and I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.